call the meeting to order for the Franklin Special School District Board of Education on October the 18th. Ask that, where's my principal? There she is. To my left, she's already there. Ask if she would.
Welcome you all here to Moore Elementary, home of the Eagles, where everyone soars. If you'll please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And as well, please remain standing for a moment of silence, please. Thank you. As customary, we always like to say that the board is wearing masks, except for when we are talking and when we are engaging, so you may see us take them off at that time, but more likely we will be trying to wear our masks to accommodate speaking and so that you'll be able to hear us. Tonight we want to start by welcoming two very special guests who are with us tonight. We have Ms. Tiffany Johnson from the Rutherford County School District. Tiffany. And also Mr. Butch Campbell from the Murfreesboro City School District. Butch has sent me a message from my cousin Wayne Blair, so I will behave, and you can give Wayne.
I won't tell everybody what he said.
Okay, now let's not do that. All right. All right. We appreciate them being with us on this evening as they are here to evaluate, and we thank them for taking time out of their schedules to come be with us on tonight. We have several good news awards that we want to get into tonight. We will start off with Ms. Robin Newman. She has a proclamation for Be Nice Week.
Thank you. Proclamation of the Franklin Special School District, Franklin, Tennessee. Whereas the Franklin Special School District is an integral part of the Franklin, Tennessee community, committed to the vision of excellence in teaching and learning for all, and whereas the mission of the Franklin Special School District is to foster academic, social, emotional, physical, and creative development in each student, to instill a desire to continue learning, to nurture respect for all people, and to promote responsible citizenship. And whereas in addition to the goals of providing a comprehensive array of instructional programs and experiences for students that focus on all essential areas of education and child development, encouraging collaboration and shared decision-making involving teachers, administrators, support staff, parents, and community members, emphasizing continuous improvement and a constant search for better ways of educating students and managing the districts in an efficient and effective manner, the FSSD will systematically seek to develop a community of learners that emphasizes academics along with kindness, encouragement, caring, and compassion. And whereas the Franklin Special School District holds as a belief, among others, that every individual is valued and respected, and that great schools are central to strong communities, now therefore the FSSD Board of Education, Franklin, Tennessee, does hereby proclaim November 8th through November 12th, 2021 Be Nice Week, and urge all students, faculty, and staff to join in this worthy observance.
Thank you. We look forward to Be Nice Week. As we continue with our Recognition and Good News Awards, we will ask Alina.
Yes. This is the National Blue Ribbon School. Also announced last month was the outstanding news that Liberty Elementary School is among 325 schools across the nation and one of only 6 in Tennessee to be named a U.S. Department of Education 2021 National Blue Ribbon School. There are 2 ways in which a school can be awarded Blue Ribbon status: by overall academic performance or by progress in closing achievement gaps among student subgroups. Liberty's designation is based on its overall academic performance. According to the Blue Ribbon School website, the leader of the school chosen for this prestigious designation must not only articulate a vision of excellence and hold everyone to high standards, but they must remain close to the real action of teaching and learning. Mutual respect and trust run deep in the cultures of these schools, and faculty are supported by mentoring and professional development with time to coordinate and plan their work. Finally, great schools don't happen without the support and partnership of families they serve. Liberty Elementary has developed a strong relationship with its families, and by working together with mutual appreciation and respect, even when opinions may differ, the two work in unity to provide a cohesive and supportive learning environment for their students. Congratulations to Liberty Elementary students, families, faculty, and staff and administrators on this incredible national recognition.
Thank you. Next, in our Recognition Good News Awards, Ms. Alicia Barker.
I want to talk about reward schools. With the release of accountability data for the 2021 school year, the FSSD has much success to celebrate. Whoop, whoop. There you go, Katrine. That's for you. Despite the significant challenges faced by teachers, administrators, and other personnel last year, the TCAP assessment reminded us of the exceptional dedication of our teachers and the perseverance of students in all of our schools. With the data also comes accolades for schools that demonstrate superlative success in regard to their students' achievement and growth. We are proud of all of our schools. But we are proud of the following schools who are named reward schools based on TCAP data: Franklin Elementary, Moore Elementary, Liberty Elementary, Poplar Grove Elementary, and Freedom Intermediate. 4 of these schools are repeat awardees. Franklin Elementary, Moore Elementary, Liberty Elementary, and Freedom Intermediate were all recognized as reward schools in 2019, which was the last year the designation was given. We are extremely proud of the phenomenal work accomplished by all of our teachers who had to be extremely creative and purposeful in their work. Well done.
Come on down, Poplar Grove Elementary. I guess I got your certificate first. So. And if you'll just stay up here and we'll take a picture. Freedom Intermediate. Liberty Elementary, National Blue Ribbon and Reward.
All right.
Just hold that smile. I'll do that fast. All right.
Moore Elementary. And last but definitely not least, Franklin Elementary.
Thank you. We're so proud of all of our schools. I want to recognize another group of great people we have the privilege and honor of serving with and working with us. That's our school resource officers. So we would like to recognize them with our appreciation for their dedicated service that they give to the Franklin Special School District. So we will call their name and Dr. Snowden will help us out. We have Sergeant Rhonda Casillas of the Franklin Elementary School. Deputy Charles Edwards of Johnson Elementary School. Deputy Cassandra Osborne of Moore Elementary School. Sergeant Brant Pewitt of Liberty Elementary School. Deputy Josh Byram of Poplar Grove Elementary. Deputy Warren Cagle of Poplar Grove Middle School. Deputy Marty French of Freedom Intermediate. Deputy Richard Cole of Freedom Middle. Also, their supervisors in the Wilson County Sheriff Office are Sheriff Dusty Rhodes, Captain Leonardo Zokofer, Lieutenant Sammy Baker, Sergeant Brant Pewitt, who's already here. Just to let you know, these outstanding men and women are committed to being a part of our school families and serve as liaisons between the Wilson County Sheriff's Office and the schools to provide security and foster a safe learning environment for all. They work in partnership with FSSD Safety Supervisor Selby Glass and the school principals to ensure safety of students, staff, and visitors. The SROs conduct building security checks to identify potential vulnerabilities, ensure laws are followed by all staff and students, and partner with school administration and Ms. Glass when something has potentially been violated. They actively participate, give feedback regarding school safety drills, and work daily to build positive relationships with their school communities. This is only a few of the many ways that SROs positively impact the campuses in which they work. SROs routinely present a wide variety of school safety-related topics to staff and students as the need arises. In these presentations, school-specific information is shared to help provide a confident and coordinated response to any potential emergency. The impact of SROs have on students they serve is possible because of the relationship they build within the schools. We're extremely grateful to the Wilson County Commissioners who continue to fund these positions and the Sheriff's Office for providing our schools with highly trained SROs for the past 8 years. We look forward to continuing the life-saving partnership for many years to come as we continue to keep student safety at the forefront of our conversations. And we certainly thank you for all that you do on a daily basis. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And now, for more good news, we'll turn it over to Mr. Kevin Townsend.
This recognition is for Reese Brown. Is Reese here today? Please come on up, Reese. And they told me you can get up here quickly. You're fast. Poplar Grove Middle School 8th grader Reese Brown ran her way to HVAC Division A Girls Cross Country title at the Harpeth Valley Athletic Conference District meet held September 29th in Nashville. Poplar Grove Middle School cross coach Jane Barnes, Jane here? Said Reese, oh, come on up too. Jane Barnes said Reese has not only been an outstanding athlete, but an excellent leader and example for the team this season as well. The PGMS team ran in 4 regular season meets and 1 final meet this season. Reese won 2 of the 4 meets and placed 3rd in the other 2 before finishing 1st overall in the HVAC Division A finals. Her time this season was 12:33, an impressive feat as cross country is a 2-mile course over natural terrain. Ms. Barnes added that Reese is a multi-sport athlete, but her character, leadership, and work ethic are what really make her a standout. Congratulations on this impressive athletic achievement. Congratulations, Reese.
All right, thank you all. That concludes our Good News Awards for this month. Now, we'll entertain anyone who is here for public input. There's a podium to my left. Public input. Seeing no one for public input, we will declare that public input is now closed. Thank you. Reports, presentations, and discussions. Dr. Decker.
Thank you so much, sir. It has been a while since we've had an entry in the Get to Know the Teaching and Learning Team series of the TNL Spotlight, and it's my pleasure tonight to share with you some information about our Student Support Services Supervisor, Dr. Lee Kirkpatrick. His title is certainly apt, as each of his duties and responsibilities have as their core purpose to be of service to students, as well as to the educators and staff who instruct, support, and care for our pupils. As the building administrator for the Central Office Annex campus, Dr. Kirkpatrick ensures that all of the educators and staff who have their offices in that building, including several TNL team members, the technology department, for now, social workers, pre-K classrooms, administrative assistants, and maintenance personnel have a safe and appropriate environment in which to work and or learn and collaborate. Even outside of the pandemic, the district pre-kindergarten, pre-K teachers and classes have undergone location, programming, and assessment changes over the last several years. And Dr. Kirkpatrick's oversight, support, and guidance of the pre-K teachers and the program in general, as well as his assistance with the development of targeted professional learning for these educators, has been absolutely key. Coordinating the district-wide school counselor planning and discussion meetings, counselor programming, and specific professional learning is an integral component of Dr. Kirkpatrick's position. Closely linked to this aspect of his role is the oversight of character education and anti-bullying programs. As an example, Dr. Kirkpatrick, along with the school counselors, was instrumental in the successful 2021 pilot of the Quaver SEL curriculum. This year, that program has been fully implemented in all 5 elementary schools, and in the current circumstances, it is needed more now than ever. It's a natural progression to Dr. Kirkpatrick's thoughtful supervision of the district-wide social workers and all related programming, as well as his coordination of parent liaison services. On a daily basis, this component of student support services addresses countless areas of student and family need, including essentials such as housing, clothing, food, transportation, medical care, and other school and living supplies. All district and school messages are translated by the parent liaisons, and these talented professionals frequently call and/or text parents, as well as participate in conferences, IEP meetings, and other meetings. Our recent summer learning camp and stream camps called for specialized communication to our Spanish-speaking families, and this was expertly overseen by Dr. Kirkpatrick. The English Learner, or EL program of services, also comprises an important part of Dr. Kirkpatrick's job. He oversees both the Title III and local budget and resources, coordinates with principals with regard to the hiring, evaluation process, and coordination of schedules for EL teachers, and works with Curriculum and Professional Learning Supervisor Summer Carlton and TNL to provide these educators with results-based, personalized professional learning. In Dr. Kirkpatrick's role as the coordinator of high school transition, he's responsible for the annual career fair. For the second year, this November event, known as the Junior Achievement Inspired Career Quest, will be a virtual one. In partnership with Williamson County Schools, local business leaders will spotlight their company in a virtual booth for 8th grade students. It's been my pleasure to share a bit about the varied threads of Dr. Kirkpatrick's responsibilities and the way in which he weaves them into a glistening landscape of opportunity, understanding, and vision. Please welcome him this evening as he shares a particularly impactful aspect of his role.
Thank you, Dr. Decker. Oh, my goodness. Good evening. I'm so pleased to have the opportunity to speak for just a few moments about my role as Student Support Services Supervisor. But before I do that, I just have to extend a heartfelt thank you to our Board of Education and our leaders, our district leaders here. We appreciate you all so much. Your commitment to excellence in teaching and learning for all occurs every day. I've witnessed it, I've been a part of it, I'm committed to it, and you all are our leaders. So we extend that. Thank you. And I just wanted to do that first before I said anything about my role with the teams that I'm fortunate to work with. So the teams that I work with, Dr. Decker shared, and some of those, actually she detailed it all. She detailed it all very well. The teams that I do work with, and I'll focus on just one tonight, but to mention those again, the voluntary pre-K team, the special education preschool teams, our ELL team, our parent liaisons, our school social workers, our school counselors, and I'm not involved in the supervision at all of our Mercy Community Healthcare therapists, but I consider myself a liaison between the district and Mercy Community Healthcare. And we have watched that grow leaps and bounds over about the last 5 years, and very, very blessed there in that area. And then also I serve as the district liaison to Williamson Inc., our Williamson County Chamber of Commerce. And I'll highlight 2 events before I move into a specific segment of interest I know will be of interest to you all. The first event is one that is special to us. It's special to Dr. Snowden. We look forward to his address every year, and that's the State of the Schools event. That will occur on November 2nd, and that will be at the Ag Center. If you didn't receive an email from Matt Largen, an invitation today, you will very soon. He wants to extend an invitation to all FSSD and WCS board members. It will be an in-person event and it will be streamed live also, because the capacity at the Ag Center will be somewhat limited. So it will be also streamed. So that's Tuesday, November 2nd. Also, so we look forward to that event every year. Also, November 4th, Dr. Decker mentioned, and this is the second year that this has been a virtual event, which is our Career Quest. And we look forward to that. We look forward to that for our 8th graders. And Williamson County has extended that into many of their high school students, 9th, 10th, and it might be available for students of all grades. That will be the JA Inspire Career Quest. That's in collaboration with WCS and Junior Achievement. I'll send that link to Dr. Snowden, and Dr. Snowden will be able to share that so that you can visit that platform and see what the 8th graders will be doing. Working on a curriculum right now. It's a self-guided curriculum, but then the event will be on November 4th. I think the best way that I can conclude some remarks about a job, a portion of my vocation. It's certainly not a job. It's so much different than that. I think we all realize that in education, that it is a vocation and in a sense a calling. But the work that I am fortunate to get to do with our school counselors and social workers has just risen to a level of, well, it's just critical work. It's critical work. And so I want to share, I was sitting in the airport in Boston last Monday, and I thought, what do I really want to share with the board members? And so I shot an email out to, and I'm doing it during fall break, so shame on me, but to the school counselors and the social workers and the nursing therapists, and they responded quickly. I just said, would you please share one student experience? And they responded with some really rich responses. And I chose 4 of those to highlight, and I'll try to be sensitive to our time, realizing that your agenda is always full. So I will, I'm not going to be able to avoid, I'm not going to name the school or the counselor, but many people will associate quickly who this piece is from, as it's their writing. It's the counselor's writing or a therapist's writing. So the first, we are truly blessed to have so many resources to call upon in the Franklin Special School District. My greatest success is that my students and their families trust and call on me. I think having the trust of our families is key and makes the greatest impact for long-term success. I had one student who was in a divorce situation and had to go on a trip with their father, and the student did not want to go. We talked through strategies to cope, and they asked if I could call their father and speak to him. I said I would do that, and then asked if it would be okay to share the fears the student had about the upcoming situation. We made the phone call. And afterwards, the student looked at me and said, I know what you did in the job before you were a counselor. I replied, you do. They said, I can tell by the way that you talked on the phone that you were a hostage negotiator. Words matter, and these young minds and young hearts are watching what we do and what we say. I don't realize the full impact that I have, but this is my intention. That every day that students know they are safe, they know they are loved, they are seen, they are heard, and they matter. They can stop and think and make good choices. They have that superpower. They can choose. So that's one story from a counselor. And again, I didn't screen these carefully to just set aside the particularly challenging, because you want to know the truth, and you know what some of these scenarios are very challenging. Our principals, all of our administrators know that that's the case. So this counselor says that we do suicide screeners frequently. We are on the front lines reporting child abuse and neglect. We are making sure students have food over the weekends through GraceWorks, and we're taking care of clothing needs through the Nook. Lee, this is a big deal. Being the nurturing place for a hurting child, a place that they can come, is a big deal. Helping a family find resources, often through our amazing Amanda Fisher, when they were down, is a big deal. Helping a child see a way out of a difficult situation is a big deal. Making school a safe place is a big deal. That's a counselor's perspective, and I'll read this. I am a middle school counselor, and this week I did a lesson on treating people well, not bullying. Yesterday morning, one of my sixth graders came to me and actually thanked me for the lesson. He shared that his nemesis kept looking at him during the lesson, and at the end, that student apologized to him for being mean. The student said, "Miss P, I almost cried. Well, I always pray that I do good work for these students, and when one of them is really helped and tells me, well, it doesn't get any better than that." And the last one I think I'll share, this is from a Mercy therapist. I just rounded out my first anniversary with Mercy and in the Franklin Special School District. I can say that I see the magic happen each week at FIS. Our team works cohesively to serve as many students as we can, sometimes overlapping a bit to provide the best variety of care for the students in need. 95% of the students I am blessed to walk beside would not otherwise have access to counseling outside of school hours due to transportation and financial barriers. This year, being at FIS full-time, I've been able to better integrate within the school, sharing lunches with students, going to the book fair, joining with the Battle of the Books, and just being seen around the school. Having the amazing opportunity to host Tobin, our wonder dog, has just increased the level of service with our students. Tobin helps model and teach patience, attention, focus, confidence, compassion, and yes, fun. There is so much more I could say about these services. I love walking into the school each day and feel truly blessed by this opportunity. That is from a Mercy Community Healthcare therapist. So those are just a few of the scenarios or student stories that we are impacting. Through excellence in teaching and learning for all, we are impacting. Our professionals are impacting students every day. And thank you for all of those resources, all of those rich resources that are provided. We are truly blessed, and we do thank you. And if you all have any questions, I'll entertain those now.
I have a question. Thank you so much for sharing that, though. That was impactful. I just wanted to, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you could summarize in 1 or 2 minutes, because of what you just shared, one of our strategic goals is to promote social emotional learning, and I know we started that new curriculum in all the elementary schools. Can you share with us what that curriculum is like? Just, I know I want you to take forever, but just, I mean, I don't want to add that to you, but.
Simply, I can say from the counselor's perspective, it is a very strong tool. It is a very strong tool that engages the students. It's a high level of engagement, also through music, and they love the connection through music. And that taps into, gosh, if they're engaged and they are interested, they are learning. We know that that's the truth. So I know that's very cursory, but at the same time, very strong input from our counselors. Those that have been using it for a little while, and then those that have just come on board in the last few months.
So it's run through the counseling program?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Again, very fortunate to have those resources for all of our elementary schools and Flavor is working on tools for moving up in the grade levels.
Can we anticipate that over the next year or so?
I don't
You're not
think
sure?
there is
Okay.
a timetable on that. That has not been shared. I'm not aware of that timetable.
Please thank the counselors that took the time out of their vacation.
Absolutely.
That's just, we really appreciate hearing how impactful that is. And
Absolutely.
we
I'm
really
so
appreciate
appreciative
that.
that they did that. You know, and I said, please just set this aside. I said, delete the email if it's too much. You know, but they didn't do that. They didn't do that. So, and I didn't read all of the scenarios because of time's sake. Well, thank you all for the time.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Dr. Decker. Construction report, Dr. Esslinger is unavailable tonight, but Chip is here. You have the construction report in your package, so if you have any questions, Chip, yeah, see, he's stepped out as we said that. Chip would be able to answer them. Okay.
How far have the supply chain issues at Liberty put us behind?
For medium boards, I think right now are our biggest issue. I think we're waiting for them to be delivered. I talked with Mark just a moment ago, and it looks like maybe January. We could expect to have our medium boards, but so far that's been the biggest issue. The construction piece, I think they're working through that quite well.
Okay, thank you.
Chip has returned. If anybody has any questions for him. Chip, there were 10 questions for you. We'll take them one at a time. Any other questions? I guess they decided not to, Chip. All right. Thank you. All right. Next on the agenda, approval of the board agenda. Do we have a motion?
Well, excuse me, Mr. Chair, we'd like to add one other item to, under number 1, request for proposal for commercial broker services, and as a part of that, the appointment of an interview committee to interview those brokers. And of course, that depends on if you approve the request for proposal. If you do approve that, we would like to have an interview committee appointed tonight.
Okay.
That's all the changes we have.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. Approval of the agenda with that added item.
I'll make a motion to approve with the added item.
Second.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor? All right. Approval of the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor? Thank you. Business before the board. Dr. Snow.
Yes, first item is consideration of request for proposal, RFP, for commercial broker services. As previously discussed, the plan is to sell the annex property located at 1406 Cannon Street and the lot at 221 Fairground Street. Included for your review is a request for proposal developed by legal counsel to secure a real estate firm specializing in commercial real estate to aggressively market and secure a buyer for no less than the appraised fair market value. If the board approves the RFP, then the board can decide, as I just mentioned, on an interview process or interview team. And just as a reminder, for the selection of the construction management at risk firm, the board authorized a committee, at that point, the executive committee, along with the associate director of finance and administration, to interview 3 or 4 firms who met the qualifications and were analyzed by Chuck Cagle, legal counsel. The executive committee submitted the selected firm to the board for approval at a regularly scheduled board meeting. The board may want to use that process or determine another process to be used to secure these professional services. We recommend the approval of the request for proposal.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve a request for proposal.
Second? I'll second. Discussion?
A couple questions. This RFP is to address 2 properties and not the third. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Would incorporating the third be getting too far out in front of our skis at this point?
I think that's a little premature in my opinion. I mean, you can add that, but
The reason it came to mind was we're focusing on commercial, and that's the only piece of property that we have that's located anywhere near what is currently zoned commercial. This property is zoned civic institutional, and we don't necessarily want to sell it at something no less than appraised market value. We want to sell it at a price that's reflective of the highest and best use, no less than the appraised value. So I think we need some consulting services that help us arrive at what is the highest and best use for the property. And that may not be commercial. That may be some sort of a development where it's all residential. So those are just a few things that I went through the RFP here and just thought about. And just, kind of wanted to throw it up for more discussion.
What's the third property that we would be considering?
The central office.
That's not in this.
No.
Oh, okay, the central, 196. Okay. It's a little slow.
Is there any downside to including that?
Well, we might not be ready to sell that. We might not be ready to move.
Well,
we're not going to be ready.
Right. So you're
That's,
saying just
that's,
get in a,
that's very obvious.
well, we're not asking for a brokerage to come in and market this immediately and sell it immediately. What I think we're asking for are the consulting services required to help us get it ready to market it aggressively. And if that's the understanding, then the next step obviously would be to include that, because I think we would get probably a better deal knowing that a broker could participate in that third leg as well.
The downside, in my opinion, is that if the selected firm doesn't do what we expected in the first 2 properties, we've already got them tied to a third property. And I know we're not ready to sell that when we don't have anywhere to move. But again, that's our recommendation, is to include the RFP for the Fairground Street property and the annex property.
I would concur with staying with those 2 properties. I think we're certainly not ready to move on the third piece of property, and maybe that's something that can be discussed by the committee when they get together and look at it. But I think we're certainly away from doing that. In time frame, we're really not sure.
Okay.
could that be something that, when the committee that's going to do the interview process, could that be part of the conversation?
That's what
I mean, we don't have it in the, if we keep the 2 properties only in the RFP, would it be appropriate to bring up the third property while you're in the interview process? Would that be acceptable and allowable? Is that what you're saying, Robert?
I wouldn't know why. I mean, I think any question should be allowable in the interview process. Even though you're talking about these 2, you can mention that we're going to have a third property in the future.
Yeah.
Okay. How about creating some more flexibility with the type of person we're looking for, someone to offer developing land development consulting services as opposed to just a commercial real estate broker. And would that be an implied, something that we could imply in there?
I think you can imply in that RFP that same strategy.
Okay,
I don't see where that would prohibit us from doing that.
okay.
All right. Any other discussion? All right, there was a motion on the table and a second. All in favor? All right. Now we need to do the executive committee.
An interview committee.
Okay. For the interview committee, normally we have had the executive committee do this, but I would like to ask the board if they would vote on having a committee to look into this that would include Dr. Snowden, that would include Dr. Esslinger, and that would include Board Member Tim Stillings as the representative to do all of what we just talked about looking into. So I would like to make a motion that we appoint these three as the committee that would look into this.
I'll second that.
Along with the executive committee?
No.
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 You can't have two board members
Yeah.
serving on a committee.
Yeah.
That'd be a violation of the Sunshine
Yeah.
Law, so it can only be include one board member. And it wouldn't be the executive committee, it would be a committee
A committee.
to make the recommendation to the full board.
And the deliverable from this, for this would be a recommendation at the next board meeting? Or
I don't think-
January 10th, I think it
Yeah.
said, something like that, okay.
January.
In January,
Okay.
I think it'd be the earliest we could get that
Yeah.
accomplished.
'Cause-
Okay.
Oh,
Can there only be one board member on that?
That's correct.
yes.
When you have two board members on the committee, then you could possibly consider that as deliberation.
Okay.
So it can, the committee can only include one board member.
Okay. So there was a motion, there was a second. Is there discussion? Any other discussion?
Tim, are you agreeable to?
All right, if there's no other, everybody in favor signify by saying aye. None opposed? Thank you. Dr. Snowden?
Yeah, item number 2 is an additional position, PAC Services Coordinator and House Manager. As we approach the completion date of the Performing Arts Center, we are proposing the addition of a PAC Services Coordinator and House Manager. Your board packet includes both the rationale for that position and a proposed job description. If the additional position is approved, we would begin the hiring process with the hopes of having the individual join the Franklin Special School District beginning in January of 2022. At this point, we're running into supply chain issues just like every other business and industry entity. So at this point, we're hopeful that will be completed by maybe the end of March, 1st of April. But could even be later. But we are still hoping that we could have the 8th grade celebrations in that facility. But we're not making any promises, and Navajos is not making any promises on that. We do recommend approval of this position. Normally, and you might wonder, normally if we're adding any kind of positions, we do that in the budgetary process, but since we weren't prepared to do that, because we didn't know the timing, that's why we didn't do it during the budgetary process, and we're doing it mid-year.
All right, thank you, sir. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve of coordinator and house manager.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Ms. Barker? All right, is there a discussion?
One, I guess how this would affect our budget this school year since we're adding a position. And two, do we anticipate, this is a lengthy list of duties, like knowing how to use all the equipment and everything, do we anticipate this will be somebody with a theater management background? Is that what we're looking for?
That would be something we would certainly consider, and we would hope to have candidates that could do that. And if not, the proper training, because it's going to be a lot of expensive equipment, and it's going to be imperative that we take care of that facility as well as any of the equipment.
Of course.
And there is money budgeted in other categories that could, we're talking about a semester, we're not
Right.
of salary, so we're not talking about a full salary for a complete calendar year.
And do we anticipate we will need to add other staff specifically just for the PAC, or this person will manage and then have assistance from whoever is using the facility and things like that?
Yes, we do anticipate that person, we anticipate having some of the drama and musical people conduct some services for additional stipends, because one person wouldn't be able to do all of that, but it wouldn't be a full-time or even a part-time position. It would be on an as-needed basis when you have programs, or either from outside or from inside the district.
Any other discussion or questions? All right, there was a motion by Ms. Bell and a second by Ms. Barker. Is everyone in favor? We'll do a roll call vote, seeing that this is a financial. Mr. Townsend?
Yes.
Ms. Barker?
Yes.
Mr. Blair's yes. Ms. Bell?
Yes.
Ms. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Stillings? Yes. All right, all in favor and approved. Thank you. Dr. Snowden?
Thank you. Item number 3 is a policy revision, insurance management 3.600. This is a second reading. This revision request is to further outline the stipulations of the post-retirement benefits for retirees of paying the cost of health insurance at retirement until the age of 65 who were employed prior to the 2009-2010 school year without a break in service. This better meets the intent of the benefit provided by the board for this group of personnel. There were no changes at the first reading. We recommend approval of the second reading.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion to approve? Mr. Townsend, is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Bell, is there a discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Thank you. Dr. Snowden?
Item number 4, policy revision, special programs, homebound instruction 4.2061. This is also a second reading. This policy revision is from a review due to a change in the State Board of Education regulation for homebound instruction. Noted is the addition of specifying the treating physician to certify or recertify the homebound need. Duplicate language has been removed and references have been updated. There were no changes requested by the board upon first reading. The administration recommends approval of the second reading.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion to approve? Ms. Newman, is there a second? Mr. Townsend, is there a discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Item number 5, policy revision, textbooks and instructional materials 4.400, and also deletion textbooks 4.401. This is second reading. TSBA has provided a model policy for direction on combining the current policies for instructional materials 4.400 and textbooks 4.401 to clarify the relationship between textbooks and instructional materials. With approval of this update, the title of policy 4.400 changes from instructional materials and is rewritten to combine policies, and policy 4.401 textbooks will be deleted. Also included in the rewriting of this policy under the selection heading is a provision for seeking a waiver to use materials that are not included on the list approved by the State Textbook Commission based on a new State Board of Education regulation. To date, we have selected materials on the state list and have not requested any waivers. There were no changes requested by the board upon first reading. The administration recommends approval of the second reading.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Ms. Bell, is there a second? Second. Ms. Barker, is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Thank you. Dr.
Item number 6, policy revision, physical examinations and immunization 6.402. This is also a second reading. State law now includes an additional vaccine exemptions in TCA 49-6/5001. If in the future any COVID-19 or variant vaccine is required for students, an exemption will be granted for individuals whose religious tenets and practices conflict with vaccination. This is in addition to exemption provided by TCA 49-6/5001 due to medical reasons if the student has a written statement from his or her doctor excusing him or her from such immunization. TSB has provided the updated language for this additional exemption. There were no changes on first reading. Administration recommends approval of the second reading.
Thank you, sir. I'll make a motion we approve. Is there a second? Ms. Parker, second. Is there a discussion? No discussion. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Dr. Snow?
Item number 7 was tabled at our last board meeting, so if you want to consider this, we respectfully request that we have a motion to bring the item off the table, and then have a vote on that, motion and a second and a vote, and then we can have item 7 as consideration.
All right. Okay, Mr. Stillings, second.
And I'll second.
Ms. Bell, all in favor? Is there any discussion?
This is taking it off the table.
Right, taking it off the table. Yeah. All in favor? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Item 7 is now back for consideration. It's a new policy, COVID-19 sick leave 5.3023. First reading. The previous adoption of this policy expired as of June 30th and deleted at the July meeting. Due to the fact that many personnel have been negatively impacted again this year by COVID-19, we believe it's prudent to provide this COVID leave. The administration requests that this policy be reinstated and retroactive to July 1st of 2021, and that it carry through December the 17th, 2021, for an employee being unable to work because the employee has a confirmed or had a confirmed diagnosis of COVID-19. To date, for this school year, there have been 52 employees. This was written, so maybe a few more at this point, but still less than 60 who have contracted COVID-19 and utilized approximately 390 sick days. There have been a total of 79.5 substitutes used to cover these 390 days. As noted, some positions don't require subs, and in many cases, classes were covered by internal staff due to not having enough subs available. Also, some of the infections occurred prior to the return by students and did not require subs. The absences averaged approximately 7.5 days per employee because some infections are not recognized as COVID immediately, and the 10 days of isolation would cover at least one weekend, and some infections started prior to the beginning of the school year, as stated earlier. The administration again discussed this policy with legal counsel, Mr. Chuck Cagle, and he strongly suggests that the district not pass a policy that excludes any employee who can provide substantiated evidence that they have had COVID-19. The administration recommends the approval of first reading.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion?
A motion to approve the first reading, waiving first and pass on second.
Ms. Bell, is there a second?
Yes. Waiving second, pass
got
on
it.
first.
I'll second.
Mr. Newman seconds. Is there a discussion?
So that was where we were last time, is whether or not we should make a distinction. Our attorney says, again, strongly suggests that we don't make a distinction, so I'll listen. The question I have is, do we tighten up proof of a positive COVID test? Is it crystal clear that I just can't show some kid I got from?
Yes, HR has been working on that in cases policy, and we're very confident that, to say it's foolproof and that you wouldn't have any, but we're going to be very intentional to make sure that we do have the substantiated COVID-19 diagnosis.
Again, we're talking about a group of people that we would trust, so that's not where I was going. It was more of, sometimes people get confused and say, I didn't have anyone, a medical person look at it, but tested negative. And so sometimes you need to be able to say it's got to be, I forget the wording, but it's got to be, someone has to say that it's negative as opposed to someone bringing you a piece of paper. It's got to be from a medical clinic as opposed to you saying you sent it off and came back.
Right, that's correct.
Okay. Then I don't have any on writing this any further.
I've got a question. Okay, so we've got it ending this semester. Would we reevaluate opening that again for next semester?
Yes, that's the same thing we did last year. Only the first semester last year, it was a federal policy.
Right.
And then the district chose to have the policy, our own district policy. And then we would do the same thing if the need is there for second semester of this year, of this school year.
There are many employees now that are requiring COVID vaccinations. Do we think school systems are going to be moving in that direction?
We're still waiting for OSHA to determine that. That's been a slow process. Whether or not that will apply to school districts, we don't know. We've heard that that might be the case. But at this point, we're not sure if school districts, if OSHA does say that you have to have, or certain entities have to require vaccinations to continue to work, or to work in an organization, and school districts are part of it, then we would have to abide by that. But at this point, I've not seen anything in writing that indicates that that's going to happen for certain.
Okay, thank you. I've got one more question. So school districts that have done this, but done it dependent upon a COVID vaccine, have we seen anything where they have any exceptions for those who have a medical note that says we cannot, this person does not really need to get the vaccine because of immunocompromised situations or something?
I've not seen that in anyone's policy because I haven't been looking, but what I would believe is happening is that they would have to honor that or either face possible litigation. If someone can't take it because of their health, and it's well documented through the medical records, to me, they would have to offer that opportunity for those employees to not be penalized for their lack of vaccination.
So if we do this dependent upon vaccine status, we're not discriminating against people who cannot get the vaccine technically.
No, we're saying that if you contract COVID-19, you're eligible for additional days of sick leave.
Right, but
Up
I
to
was
10
thinking
days.
if we changed it to with a vaccination, with proof of vaccination.
Then that's discriminating.
Okay.
That's what our attorney said. I'm not an attorney. I don't pretend to be an attorney. I'm going by what legal counsel says.
Okay.
And we pay him for advice.
Okay.
And we pay him well for advice.
And there are school districts doing that in Tennessee.
There are some. Well, Ms. Duke, am I correct that we think Metro has that policy in place, and I believe Knox County, but
I believe there are two that have chosen to do that I'm aware of, that have shared that with me, that they're choosing to do that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you for checking with Mr. Cagle on this. I had a question, because I know last time when we tabled this, we were trying to decide if people, if they're vaccinated and they get COVID, then we want to cover that, and if they're not, then that was a decision they made. So we've kind of taken that off the table, but I would like to know if we should add in there, this can only occur once per semester. Like, I think at some point we have to draw a line on how many days, like someone could get COVID twice in a semester. That would be rare, but they could. And I don't know if we want to then extend 20 days to somebody who, that would seem that, considering the school is doing everything they can to prevent the spread of the disease, we can't control what anybody does outside of our buildings, staff, administration, or anybody. So I don't know if we need to put that in there, or if that's allowed to put in there, that this is a one-time offer I mean, I know some school districts aren't doing it at all, aren't offering any extra sick leave for anybody. So I don't know, I just want to know what people think about that.
My thought would be the way you handle that is simply its amount of days. If you get it, you get 10 days.
Yeah,
A maximum of 10 days. If you get
Yeah.
it 2 times, you've still got 10 days.
Okay, that makes sense.
any other? Sorry. Any other discussion? All right, I had a motion, Ms. Bell, and the second was, who's second, Ms. Newman? Ms. Newman, okay. To waive and pass on second, all in favor?
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. This, with as many days as we already have, this represents about an additional expenditure of $50,000. So our custom is roll call vote.
Roll call vote. All right, let's start with Mr. Stillings.
Yes.
Ms. Newman?
Yes.
Ms. Bell?
Yes.
Mr. Blair, yes. Ms. Barker?
Yes.
Mr. Townsend?
Yes.
All in favor? Thank you, sir. Dr. Snowden,
Director of Schools report, we were notified a little while ago that the construction has hit a gas line at Poplar Grove School. Atmos has been on site. They've got it under control, but we will not have any gas at Poplar Grove tomorrow. That will only impact the food service, the food and culinary services, but they're working. There won't be any hot lunches or breakfast, but we will be able to provide, or at least at this point, we're pretty positive we'll be able to provide the meals there, so it won't impact any other aspect of the school. So just wanted you to know in case you hear that. National School Lunch Week was the week of October 4th through the 8th. We had many themes, wild about school lunch for that week. Had fun giveaways that were planned and enjoyed by many. All students can eat lunch and breakfast again this year at no cost. United Way campaign was concluded on October the 8th, and from the indication, it was a very successful campaign again this year. We appreciate our employees who are willing to give to the United Way campaign, which helps many students and families in our school district. Director of Schools Advisory, updating you from last month. The members of that advisory council have been selected, and our first meeting will be later this week on the 21st. The Career Quest has already been mentioned, and we'll get you that information that Dr. Kirkpatrick mentioned. Be Nice Week is November 8th through the 12th as you pass the resolution tonight. Ambassadors are in the process of being chosen for this and the parade as one of many districts and governmental agencies across Williamson County who strive every day to represent themselves with character and kindness. This week puts special emphasis on our message throughout the district with many activities. We hope that you will be able to sometime visit our schools during that week. The Veterans Day Parade will be on November the 11th. We're back to the regular route this year. We look forward to participating. 6 FSSD Be Nice student ambassadors from each school will walk in the City of Franklin's Veteran Day Parade along with all of our 4th graders, the FIS Bulldog Council, and the FMS Poplar Grove Middle School Band, followed by the story bus. Again, as always, you're invited to ride or walk along with in the Veterans Day Parade on the story bus on November 11th if your schedule permits. Our flu vaccines for personnel will be available October the 19th and 20th at each school. They will be administered by the Williamson County Health Department this year instead of CVS. And we appreciate the partnership we have with the Williamson County Health Department. As mentioned earlier, the State of the Schools is scheduled for November the 2nd. If you'll be able to attend, please let Carol know. As Dr. Kirkpatrick said, you should be receiving an invitation from Matt Largen with the Chamber. We're continuing to monitor the district's COVID-19 numbers, and they have remained steady and continue to go in a positive direction, or the right direction, as we would say. We've continued our meetings with local government officials as well as medical professionals from Williamson Medical. The trend continues to decline. I was going to provide some context to some information. Well, first let me mention the status of the lawsuit. As you recall, the Franklin Special School District and Williamson County Schools, as well as the governor, are in the lawsuit. The hearings have been completed. Briefs were submitted, final briefs were submitted last week by our legal counsel. We don't know when to expect a decision by the judge, but we don't think it'll be very far in the future when that decision is made. Our legal counsel has suggested that at this point the board not make any changes to the current mask requirement. As we've said, we extended that to January at this time, but that was, again, guidance from legal counsel based on the hearing and information he's received under 2 different hearings, and at this point we're still under the temporary restraining order, which says that we cannot use the governor's executive order 84 for exemptions for masks, the wearing of mask. Looking back from last May, well, let me add this. This morning we've had a total of 5 positive cases in the district and 8 exposures, so that's extremely low. Last year in May, going back to the county, looking at the community spread, there were 255 in May, and in June 1st there was 99 total active cases. Today in Williamson County there was a total of 657 total active cases in Williamson County. So it's still considerably higher, even though it's much lower than it was a few months ago. It's still much higher than it was in May and June of last year when we did away with the mask requirement for our summer school program. 62.5% of Williamson County population has received at least 1 dose of the vaccine. 54.8% from Williamson County are fully vaccinated. And as of this morning, Williamson County Hospital, there were 6 inpatients with COVID and 1 in the ICU. We want to, and I know Mr. Blair mentioned this, but we want to take an opportunity from a director standpoint to thank our visiting board members for their time in helping and critiquing the meeting, and thanking you for your commitment to the service in your school district as well. And then you have the conference and meeting schedules, as we're all disappointed in the NSBA, the TSBA situation, as far as the activities that through NSBA, but we'll continue to do our best to check to see if there are any changes in that for future conferences or future activities. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any comments or questions for Dr. Snowden at this time? Updates, teaching and learning?
Nothing additional, sir. Thank you.
Okay. And of course, again, we mentioned that Dr. Esslinger is unavailable tonight, so we will get his report at another time. Any announcements from...
Mr. Blair,
Yes,
excuse
sir.
me, I just got a text from Mr. Sternenberg, and Navholt said that the gas will be on for breakfast tomorrow at
All
Poplar
right,
Grove,
then.
so repairs should wind up within the hour, so
All
good
right.
news.
Good news again. Start with good news, end with good news. All right. Any announcements from board members? Any announcements?
Do we want to create a policy for delegate assembly? If so, we need to get that in within the next couple of days. If we want to just have anything to do with the delegate assembly, we need to get that in within the next couple of days.
I'll make this brief. I just want to make an explanation is, I hope that people who can get vaccinated. The vote we took right now, for me, was a matter of the only way, if our lawyer says we shouldn't make a distinction between vaccinated and unvaccinated. And if I want to take care of those people who are getting breakthrough cases, people who've been vaccinated, but they get COVID, And I want to take care of people like a lady who emailed us. I know she emailed me today and told me about how she couldn't. If we want to take care of them, I don't have a choice if I want to take care of them to vote for it. But I don't want that to send the wrong message that I think the board is enabling people, and I can't speak for anyone else on the board. I'm speaking for myself, is that I hope people who can take it will take it and help save their lives and the lives of the kids that we come in contact with. Just want to put that out there. But I voted for it because it's more important that we take care of those who get sick and they just can't help it. They either can't get vaccinated or it's a breakthrough case. Just want to put that out there. That's all I want to say.
Any other comments? Again, we thank all of our schools, and it's great to recognize them tonight and recognize our SROs. And as Dr. Snowden mentioned earlier, certainly want to thank Ms. Johnson and Mr. Campbell for being with us on this evening. We certainly appreciate you coming and being